All right, viewers, joining me on the broadcast is former diplomat Shilkant Sharma. I appreciate you speaking to NewsX, sir. Thank you for giving us your time. At this very sensitive time for the relations and bilateral ties between India and Canada, it is in fact also very concerning. The first and foremost concern is of the concerns that the Indian diaspora and the community on the Canadian soil might have. What exactly should be, and in your understanding, to put it like, should be the Indian government's first priority at this point of time to assure those Indians who are and in fact have settled in Canada and have become the part there, but now as the developments keep on happening, it remains concerning as to what kind of future do they stare at?
I think the first thing to which we must realize is that who initiated this whole series of action-reaction? It was Canada. And I think it is Justin Trudeau. It is personalized in him. Because had it been the whole of Canadian government, then the other parties' views also would have counted, because India is an important partner. But somehow the other, it is the Justin Trudeau party and his personal fortunes that have been, spurring the whole actions from last year. The second point is, India has been quiet, but India has, when provoked, then India has to come back. And so India has actually recounted what his father did in 1980s when Kanishka was bombed. And we know, we had our ambassador in Dublin those days, who was looking after the late Ambassador Kiran Doshi, was looking after the aftermath of the tragedy. And the Canadian government had no cooperation. So this is Canada for us when it comes to real tragedies. Then again, this happened, and they have been after it, after their own point. And they seem to be as immutable in their understanding and in their judgment as some of the other countries whom during the Cold War they were against. So or the present government elsewhere, who don't see any other point of view except their own. So it is not a democracy in Canada. It is their own point of view, and it is Justin Trudeau's point of view. And we have been following the democratic, ups and downs there. Maybe Trudeau is out, but before he leaves, he might have damaged the India-Canadian relations quite a lot, which the latest episode signifies, that expelling the High Commissioner of India and 6 Indian diplomats, as though India was a Cold War Soviet bloc country. These guys are, somehow or the other, I have this feeling that these guys are so full of themselves, and they are so, they talk about working against authoritarian governments, but their own mindset is so authoritarian, that, they have decided something, and that's it. And all other things don't matter. Now, as for India, you see, it is the same government which, for one citizen, is willing to take on a country. And the same government is quiescent when other citizens who are living there are attacked, vilified, their temples demolished, they are threatened. Then it keeps quiet. And when the action sphere, the zone of action is in Canada, they have to take action in Canada. That they don't do. And what they do, they start throwing blame on India. So it all shows how one-sided, weak-kneed, skewed are their attitudes. So I think we should see it in that perspective.
Mr. Sharma, also to put in perspective, also kindly give us a sense of how the Canadian government, especially at this point of time ahead of the US presidential elections as well, is dealing with this issue, given the sentiment to also kind of protect for the Indian community there. What kind of a sense are you garnering from that end?
I'm saying that this, as I said before, that for one citizen, they are going to turn the world over. And the relations with India don't matter. One citizen matters. But for the other citizens who have contributed a lot, who've gone there, who studied there, spent millions of dollars, and now they are set as Canadian citizens, on Canada's invitations. We find in Delhi and elsewhere in India, advertisements from the Canadian side that come to Canada, this and that, So you invite people to join as immigrants, and then you are completely indifferent to their plight. What is this discordance is unacceptable, inexcusable. So we have larger points to accuse them of than their own, self-righteous mouthing of democracy and human rights. What human rights they are talking about? We know about human rights which they used to follow when we were investigating the aftermath of Kanishka and the tragedies which happened those days. So. And then in the parliament, you see, if you're a democratic country, people inside your country may have things to do, but government has a certain responsibility. And government's responsibility is for keeping fair, which the Canadian government is not. They are completely succumbing to the party politics there.
All right, Shilkant Sharma, thank you for giving us your time and in fact detailing this entire face-off between India and Canada at this given point of time. Joining me on broadcast is also my guest Sanjeev Srivastava, who is an international expert. Sir, I welcome you back on the broadcast. This is in fact a very sensitive time to decide the future of the Indian citizens in Canada. Many of them have just in fact, like every year, had just applied for the university admissions, for various kind of jobs and employment. What is the message that they are now going to receive, and how should they actually respond to these developments that are taking place? Of course, worry and concern are the first and foremost reactions, looking at the kind of developments both the nations are, keeping up at this point of time.
I think those Indian nationals, those who are there in Canada, or those who are aspiring to study in Canadian institutions, they should not get much worried in my assessment, because India-Canada relationship is very deep, and it's a relationship where our very vast Indian diaspora and diasporic presence is there in Canada. Large number of our Sikh brothers and sisters, Hindus, brothers and sisters, and other community people, they are there. And they have formed a very strong diasporic linkage between India and Canada. So our people-to-people connect is very much there. Obviously, despite various kind of wrong moves and blunders by the Justin Trudeau government, the fact remains that both the countries are a democratic country, and they have shared democratic values. And this kind of posturing which Justin Trudeau government is doing, they are doing for the sake of their own narrow political vested interests. And they want to appease the various sections of those pro-Khalistani elements in the Canadian politics, and Justin Trudeau government, as you know, that is a minority government, and if it has to survive for the upcoming times, then they will need some support from other parties, and to get that required support, because he narrowly survived to no confidence motions in Canadian Parliament in recent times, and his popularity is plummeting by each passing day. So I think just to ensure his political survival, he is harming India-Canada relationship, and this shows the kind of a short-sightedness this Trudeau government is having, because India is the largest democracy on the planet, And as I said, that we have both the countries are democratic countries, and India is a very consequential, the most important democratic power in the Indo-Pacific region, and various enormous challenges which international community is facing. India is very much part of the solution which the international community is seeking. Canada knows about it. But despite knowing the growing importance and stature and influence of India, if he is attempting to harm this India-Canada ties, then I think he's doing at his own peril, I would say. And if this kind of moves are not going to be helpful in any way to get that kind of support which he is expecting from the Canadian society. He might survive for a few more times. He might survive for some more time, as I said. But ultimately, he will be harming his image, and he's harming his Canadian national interest by putting India-Canada relationship in such a low and negative phase. So I think this is kind of a move which Justin Trudeau government is taking. I think once that government is out of power, I believe that the kind of the poor performance they have done in Toronto, in Montreal, they have lost their seats. Those seats were supposed to be Liberal seats, but safe seats. But now on those safe seats, Conservative Party is winning. So I think in times ahead, the kind of performance the opposition party, the Conservative Party led by Paul Revere, the opposition leader, is doing, I think it is a matter of time when this Justin Trudeau government is out of power. And in my assessment, once he is out of power, once this kind of appeasement politics is done away with, India-Canada relationship will be back on track. So people, those who are there in Canada of Indian origin, those who are aspiring to go there, I think they should know that all these things are being done for the political purposes. And I do not think that it will, any person, any one leader or one political party can harm this kind of a very vast substantial.
Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, thank you for giving us your time and in fact your opinion over the kind of escalation that's been happening at this point of time between the two nations. And right now also joining me another is my guest, Colonel JS Sodhi. Also, I appreciate you giving us your time, sir. To actually view these entire developments, what can be expected next from the Indian side is what my direct question to you is. And also for the benefit of our viewers, how tense should the Indian diaspora who are residing in Canada should be?
Jan Simran, it's my honor to be on an esteemed channel. Well, the tensions between India and the Canadian governments is pretty evident by the way that things are shaped up since yesterday. But the fact remains that the Indian diaspora in Canada need not fear anything because they are on Canadian soil, and it is the duty of the Canadian government to ensure the safety of whether it's citizens or any foreigners who are visiting there, whether for tourism or for business purposes. Hence, the most important onus on the Canadian government is to ensure that every person of Indian origin is safe there, is secure there, and no bodily harm or monetary harm comes to them. As far as the relations between India and Canada are concerned, they are obviously very tense, and the next few days will really, bring to fore how the things will further shape up. As of now, I don't see any let up because the Canadian government has been repeatedly and regularly hurling, false allegations on India since last September when the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau visited India for the G20 meet, and he put these false allegations soon after he went back to Canada. The government of India has made it clear many a time that it is neither a policy nor an intent to do any extrajudicial killing, be it on the Indian soil or be it in any foreign country. And since that time, we have been many times asking for evidences which the Canadian government has not given so far. So I think now the entire onus is on the Canadian government of Justin Trudeau, firstly to ensure the safety and security of every person of Indian origin, and secondly to give whatever evidences it has so that the government of India can act as per the laws of the land.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.